Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for another video. We're going to be working on adding some color to our Catwoman piece. There's a lot of grays in this. It's a night scene. It's Gotham City. Your only real light source is I suppose the city lights down below, but also the bat signal. So it's going to be very, very dark. We're going to spend some time doing that. May put a purplish tint on her outfit, and then we'll spend some time at the end doing the face. If I run out of time today for the face and everything, we will set up another short video so we can finish that. But I'm going to be using my Copic markers, basically my neutral grays, and here we go. Anytime you're done inking, you can erase any pencil lines that are kind of left over. Again, always a good idea to hold the paper down when you're erasing and erase between your thumb and your index finger so the eraser doesn't catch the paper, and I've had that happen on a number of occasions. It leaves a nice fold or bend. If you're really unlucky, sometimes a tear in your drawing that you've worked so hard on, so it helps to hold it down. Just kind of cleans it up a little bit. Removes any of those stray lines from the sketch portion. Any fingerprints you may have put down. Okay. Alright, we're going to start down at the bottom, and again, always working light to dark, starting with my N1. My N1 is getting a little on the dry side, but we will make do. So the texture work we did last time with the Copic multi-liners, that's all done. And this is just going to kind of push it down further. And when I say push it down, I'm talking about the tone or the value. And pushing it down means visually. Something that's bright kind of stands out and comes forward. Things that have value are kind of pushed back a little bit. It's drying up on me. Always a good idea to have another piece of paper underneath when you're using your Copic markers, because as you know, they tend to bleed through a little bit, and you don't want that stuff all over your desk. As you can see, I've done that on a couple of occasions. This gray is an N2, a neutral number 2. Just a little bit darker. On these different sections of the eagle, I am concentrating my darkest value on the top of the sections, because I am assuming that the city lights coming up from below are going to cause some reflection. I think I'll just go one more step with an N3. And I don't want to go so dark that I obliterate the nice texture work that I did. I think that's pretty good. On the building behind it, we're going to basically give it the same treatment. We're going to go light to dark and make it. It's a Gothic spire made out of a lot of old stone. So it takes a little bit more time, but I like taking these bricks one at a time. If I just technically it's an undercoat and I could just go across all of them simultaneously, but this way it gives the foundation where I can treat each brick individually. It's just going to look better when all is said and done. And noticing I'm not, going out of my way to cover everything. Leaving some light pockets, just kind of show through, and that's just the way stone is. It's very irregular sometimes. Depending on the sets of markers that you have and the materials you have, you can buy entire sets of like 10 gray markers, and they come in different. Copic makes them warm gray, set of 10 cool gray, which are, kind of, doesn't have blue in it, but they're a little cooler in temperature. Toner gray, and neutral gray. So there's like 4 different sets of grays that Copic comes out with, and you can buy them as entire sets of 10, which gives you a huge range of different grays, obviously, which then you can use to assist with things like this. doing this pulling down effect where I just go across the top of each brick and then pull down. Sometimes, if you look at old cathedrals, you know, after cathedrals that are hundreds of years old, the rain and the weather take its toll on the rock and stuff like that, and sometimes it can start to stain it and need different effects on it. So this is just my attempt to try to recreate that.
Well, let me.
Going up the ladder here a little bit. This is an N6, so it's a little bit darker, just for those shadow sides. People will ask me and they say, well, if you're going to go that dark, why don't you just start that dark and go with like an N3 to begin with? Because it seems like you get there anyway. Yes, but you may miss a lot of these little light highlights that you get, and you wouldn't get that if you just started dark. It would be impossible to get those lighter values. taking my chisel tip, the fat chisel tip, laying it on its flat side, and just starting at the top and pulling down. in doubt, use a straight edge. I can choose to go darker on that if I want to, but got a good sense of how you kind of layer in the grays in order to achieve different values and things like that. Before I go any further, I'm going to touch up her outfit a little bit, and I've done a lot of the work with the blacks and the inks already. However, her outfit is generally purple in nature, so I'm going to use what's called an Amethyst. It's a V17. Again, anytime I mention a marker that I use, I will make sure that I put it into the description so you don't have to write it down or remember it. And if you don't have that particular color, that's okay. You use what you have. Just not everything's going to be purple. I'm still going to leave those white highlights on the outside. Doesn't take too long. Alright. Let's see, finishing up here. On the the bat signal is obviously in the clouds. So we're going to start a little bit darker, but not too dark, maybe with an N3. Let's try this. So I'm going to have to cut the edges, but then kind of make it smoky, so I'm going to use a circular motion. And get that kind of that smoky, cloudy effect. If you're able to work quickly and work wet on wet as you apply one value over another while the paper is still a little saturated, the blending happens quite naturally. And sometimes you're left with some effects almost by accident. It's not completely by accident, because you're the one that did the technique, but sometimes it just looks better than you imagined. And again, you can go back in with the lighter value and see if you can't blend some of those colors together. Remember, it goes on darker than it dries. So once it's dry is when you start to see how well you've done. The background, and just kind of like the sky behind her, it can get pretty dark, but I'm going to start out with an N2, so it's again a little bit lighter. And going light gives you the opportunity to go darker. like it the way it is. You say, well, no, this needs to go a little bit darker. But an N2 is a good undertone. Leaving little patches of white, it's always a good idea when you're trying to make that smoky, ethereal type of look. Just little chunks at a time. You kind of just let the marker do the work for you. And at this point, I'm going to maybe go just a little bit darker. Try to keep that going, a little bit of a blend. So this is an N3, just one step up. Looking for my N4, there it is. There it is. Fresh new marker is always so nice to use. It goes on so evenly, so easily. Moving back down to N3. This N3 is kind of getting a little depleted, so there we go. I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit. N2's seen better days. A lot of coloring today. That background. So still have some work to do, but it's getting there. It's certainly getting there. Tell you what, we're going to wrap today's video up, but I'll have to do one more small one to capture the rest of the face, and then whatever else we're going to do for these buildings in the background. But not too much left to go. So thanks very much for joining us. If you like this video, please click subscribe and don't miss our next one. Thank you. God bless.